You know what this is? I'm looking at a time in my life that I treasure a lot. This video was shot in Decatur, Georgia. It's a place where my sister gave me a home. It was a time in my life when I just didn't know what I was going to do. I was confused. You name it. I didn't expect to retire in the Navy. I thought I would somehow die while I was in the Navy. And of course you retire and then you're lost. You don't know what to do. She gave me a home in Decatur, Georgia. Decatur is where I learned that I had value to somebody. I've always known that my children think the world of me. But it's also the place where I learned that my nieces and nephews also thought highly of their UD, their Uncle Dave. Troy, of course, he thought the world of his Uncle Dave, his vagabond, his sailor, and somehow he might have had a romantic notion of what my life was like. He would not have been wrong. It's a strange life, this fraternity called a sailor. I cannot explain to you, for example, how it felt the first time I set foot in Africa. I cannot explain to you what it was like being in a country and to be told, wow, you're just like everyone else. You leave and you pretend as if you were never here. It was a compliment, really. You'll never know what it was like to meet celebrities as a sailor. Emmett Kelly Jr., for example. I met him in San Diego. And I said, Mr. Kelly, may I shoot you a picture? And he says, are you sure? And he never said a word to me, and I shot a lot of pictures of Emmett Kelly. And somebody in my life burned them all, just as they burnt all my golf trophies. That's okay. But you know why? Because up here, memory. When you get older, that's where you live. I remember my conversation with an icon called Elizabeth Taylor. Can't take that away from me. Because, you know, I belong to this fraternity. The old sailor. It doesn't matter. I go back later, when I get very old, sit in a rocking chair somewhere, and I will think about the time I spent with my shipmates in Venice, Italy, for example. The time I walked the streets of London. Those are memories. Decatur, Georgia. Oh my God, what a place. It was one of the most beautiful places on earth. And my sister was kind enough to give me a home there. So, when you get old, the only thing you remember are the good things in your life. I remember once upon a time, I was in a place called, I just backed it up. I like playing with this. You know why? Because these pictures are memories. I remember being a sailor way back when, and I think I was stationed in Maryland. The details are fuzzy. What you remember, really, are the feelings that were involved with all your adventures. Yeah, I believe I was stationed in Bainbridge, Maryland, and on weekends us sailors would go to different places all over Bainbridge, Maryland. We'd go to places because we wanted the experience of traveling. We're sailors, after all. We're a restless breed. We belong to that very sacred fraternity. Anyway, we found ourselves this weekend in a place, I think it was Pittsburgh, someplace anyway. I think it was the Workman's Club. And I think we had exhausted all our collective funds in a bar somewhere, in a club somewhere. And the manager of the club, sensing that us, the sailors, were flat broke, he said, look, you can sleep here tonight in the bar, in the club, and tomorrow morning I'll wake you up and you can be on your way. Well, as fate would have it, we're getting settled down to sleep in a chair, and as a sailor you can sleep anywhere. And in walk a celebrity. I think it was Shirley Scott. I think it was a Workman's Club in Pittsburgh. And she came in And first on the keyboard, she started just on the keyboard, and eventually she started to play earnestly. And my God, you know, musicians are special people because God speaks to us through vibrations. That's right. Vibrations that causes energy. Energy that touches the soul. And she was playing, and we were all transfixed. We looked around, and we were the only people in this club. And there she was. I think her name was Shirley Scott. Have I had a good life? I've had the best life ever. And one day, when you have the time, and you want to listen to the tales of the old salt, I'll be glad to talk to you. I will tell you my adventures. As one nephew told me, he gave me the greatest title of all. He said, "Uncle Dave, you're one of a kind." Memories. It is wonderful. I think it is anyway. Absolutely wonderful.